Discover the incredible moment a homeless boy danced, transforming a billionaire's paralyzed daughter's life forever. On a sun-soaked corner in the vibrant heart of the city, a swarm of feet shuffled and swayed, but only one stood out. Sam, a scrappy 12-year-old boy with bright, expressive eyes and an oversized hoodie, danced like the world was his stage. The rhythm pulsed through him, each beat hammering against the hardships of life on the street. With every spin and leap, he shed layers of pain like shedding rain after a storm. People stopped to watch, some cheered, while others simply stood in awe as his body told a story of resilience and hope. In the glitzy shadows of the city, billionaire Parker Evans drove by, surrounded by the leather and luxuries he'd amassed over decades. But inside, his heart felt hollow, weighed down by anguish. He glanced at the children laughing on the sidewalk, and his chest tightened. The accident had stolen his daughter's laughter, her dance, her spirit. Lily, once a radiant dancer, now lay immobile, confined to a chair that mirrored his failures as a father. With every tick of the clock, he chased success, but instead of healing, he felt farther from redemption. As Parker navigated the streets, fate intervened. His eye caught Sam's enchanting performance. The way the city faded, how joy illuminated the boy's face, a glow overshadowed by shadows of homelessness. Memories flooded Parker's mind. Lily twirling, giggling as she spun through their living room, her feathery imagination soaring high. In that moment, his well-guarded heart cracked open, flooding him with warmth, then slamming him back to reality. He had lost everything. Just as impulses surged through him, contentment morphing into something electric, he stepped out of his car. "Hey, kid!" he called, battling between the whispers of guilt and the yearning to connect. Sam stopped mid-spin, surprised and curious, his breath hitching as Parker approached. This suit-clad man was the last person he expected to talk to amidst all this concrete. "How would you like an audition for a talent show?" "Really big one," Parker suggested, his voice a mix of excitement and hesitation. Sam's brow furrowed, disbelief darting through his eyes. The streets were tough, but hope flickered. "Really?" he whispered, as if daring to dream. A small crowd gathered, murmurs rising like smoke. Parker's heart raced. What would his colleagues think? A billionaire reaching out to a boy from the streets? The weight of expectations collided with his gut feeling. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Meanwhile, through the window, Lily watched, a mixture of confusion and intrigue flickering in her eyes. Was this a glimpse of hope? Could her father redeem the shattered pieces of their relationship? Parker felt the pressure mount, the weight of judgment hanging thick in the air. As whispers turned into a movement, the community began rallying around Sam, recognizing something special in him, a talent that outshone the streets he called home. Hope soared like a fresh breeze, intertwining their stories, lines blurring between wealth and poverty, dreams and despair. But just as the curtain drew near for Sam's moment, doubt crept in. Would they embrace him? Could Parker's kind gesture heal wounds and bridge the gap between a broken family and a boy searching for love? Only time would tell, but their journey had only just begun. Sam felt a surge of excitement alongside the flicker of anxiety. He turned to look at the small crowd gathering, their eyes brimming with curiosity and encouragement. This was his chance. All of his struggles, the nights spent dreaming in a cardboard box, and the echoes of laughter from those who passed him by, all of it carved a deeper desire in him to shine. He took a breath, sensing the weight of Parker's gaze. "Okay, I'll do it," Sam said, surprising even himself. The crowd breathed a collective sigh of relief, some clapping quietly, while others whispered encouraging words. Parker's heart swelled. He felt a tiny spark of hope ignite as he thought about Lily, and how much she needed this light in their world that had been dimmed for so long. "Great! We need to give this the biggest energy we can." Parker encouraged, clapping his hands together. When's the audition? Next week, Sam said, a nervous smile appearing on his face. A flurry of offers erupted from the onlookers. A man stepped forward, offering to help with dance practice. A woman filmed the moment, hoping to share it with others who needed inspiration. Parker, feeling driven, nodded at the crowd. Let's make sure we all support this talent. This kid has potential to do something amazing. But just a few yards away, behind the window, Lily watched in silence. Parker's excitement didn't escape her. His energy seeped through the glass, igniting something in her heart. But confusion weighed heavy on her mind. Would this boy bring joy back into her father's life at the expense of their fragile connection? Would he push her farther away? Sam, unaware of the ripples he was creating, propelled himself into the atmosphere, joy bubbling in every heartbeat. Back on the corner, he began to move, spinning and leaping, instinctively connecting with a rhythm only he could hear. The pavement became his canvas as the crowd cheered him on, a chorus of encouragement lifting him higher. Each beat, each twist reflected not only his struggles but the vibrant spirit ingrained in every child. Laughter and applause surrounded him, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like the weight of his world lightened. Meanwhile, Parker stood captivated. The shadows of regret began to lift, replaced by vivid recollections of Lily dancing at the same age, her hands outstretched, searching for the stars. It was a bittersweet reminder of everything they had lost, yet it also became a powerful whisper of hope. I need to share this with Lily, he murmured to himself, a plan forming in his mind. Perhaps Sam's gift could bridge their gap, give them something to celebrate, and he dared to think perhaps spark a renewed connection. After Sam finished, the crowd erupted in cheers, calling for an encore. Sam grinned, heart pounding with pride. But just as quickly doubt crept back in. Would this really lead to something? Remember, this is just the beginning, Parker said, leaning down to Sam, their eyes locked in understanding. You're about to change so many lives. Words hung in the air, heavy with promise but also uncertainty. As night fell, Parker hurried to his car, driven by resolve. He called Lily, but would she understand? Would she be open to meeting this boy who could remind her of the life she once had? Outside, Sam celebrated with the crowd, unaware of the wheels turning behind the scenes. As laughter filled the air, something shifted inside him, a hope that maybe he was worthy of a new beginning. But just as the moment felt complete, Sam's phone buzzed. It was a message from a stranger. I know what you did. This could end badly. The words chilled his bones. Who was watching? What trouble loomed just around the corner, threatening to push him back into darkness? As he glanced at the night sky, the stars shining brightly, he couldn't shake a feeling that danger was lurking, ready to strike at the heart of his dreams. With a heavy heart, Sam stood rooted to the spot as the jubilant crowd began to disperse, their enthusiasm fading into the crisp night air. His pulse raced, a mix of exhilaration from the performance, and dread from the message on his phone. Who could know anything about him? The shadows of doubt crept back, threatening to extinguish the little flame of hope that had ignited moments ago. His hands trembled slightly as he unlocked his phone to reread the strange message. I know what you did. This could end badly. The words hung ominously in the back of his mind, a stark reminder that not everyone saw the good he tried to put out into the world. Sam's breath quickened. He looked around, uncertain if someone might be watching him. He needed to shake off the worry. The night was still alive with music, laughter, and the shared joy he had experienced on that corner. With newfound resolve, he took a deep breath and started to walk. He glanced back at his makeshift audience, their faces still shining with pride. Maybe he could celebrate this moment, if only for now. As he moved through the streets, the vibrant lights of the city twinkling like stars, a wave of renewed determination washed over him. He wanted to believe he could change. He needed to hold on to that belief, despite the shadows that threatened him. A couple of blocks away, Parker was pacing back and forth outside of his car, phone pressed tightly to his ear. Lily, you have to see him dance. You need to come. He reminds me of you, of who you used to be. The moment Parker mentioned Sam's name, Lily's heart skipped a beat. Dad, I don't know. She hesitated, her voice shaky. Would this boy really bring a spark back into their lives? Or would he unravel the threadbare bond they were trying to weave back together? It's more than just dancing, Parker urged, his voice breaking through the doubt. He has this light, a spirit that could inspire you. Please, just give him a chance. Think of it as a way for us to reconnect, to find joy again. Lily closed her eyes, envisioning the days when dance brought laughter and unity to their family. It seemed so far away now, buried under layers of hurt and loss. She wanted to hope, but fear gripped her tightly. What if it doesn't work, Dad? What if it just makes things worse? The question lingered heavy in the air. Parker sighed, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Sometimes you have to take risks to find what's worth holding on to. Meanwhile, Sam had reached the park where he often found solace among the trees. He settled on a bench, pulling the hoodie tight around him. His shoulders slumped as uncertainty gnawed at him. He was in this strange limbo, poised between hope and fear, and he wished he could silence the growing anxiety. Suddenly, the world in front of him seemed to shift. A child's laughter pierced the night, and he looked up just in time to see a little girl twirling under the park lights. It was a simple act, yet it sent a pang of longing through him. That joy, he wanted to feel it. He wanted to be part of it. But could Sam really brave the world that had turned its back on him for so long? As he pondered, the phone buzzed again, another message lighting up the screen. You can't escape your past, Sam. It will catch up to you. Watch your back. The chills seeped further into his bones. Who was after him, and why? In two different places, two hearts battled their fears as the night deepened around them, both caught in the web of hope and uncertainty. Would they each find the courage to step into the light, or would they succumb to the shadows waiting just beyond reach? The ache of unknowing lingered, as the dawn felt both distant and imminent. How long would Sam be able to dance on the edge of danger before it all came crashing down? Sam perched on the edge of the bench, his heart still racing from the performance and the chilling text. The inky sky above was a stark contrast to the golden glow of the park lamps, each beam casting not just light, but shadows of doubt around him. He gripped his phone, the metal cool against his palm, feeling the weight of opportunity and the heaviness of his past. Could he keep running from it? He watched the little girl spin, her innocence a breathtaking reminder of what he once believed in. The sheer joy radiating from her made him yearn for the same simplicity. If only he could find a way to ignite that happiness inside himself again. A rustle behind him broke his reverie, and Sam turned to see a couple walking hand in hand, their laughter echoing softly in the stillness of the night. It was a beautiful moment, a fleeting connection of shared joy. But as he caught their eyes, he saw something in their gazes that made him flinch: pity. Sam quickly looked away, pushing back feelings of inadequacy and fear that threatened to engulf him. Then, once more, his phone buzzed, interrupting his thoughts. Another message: don't think you're safe because you're alone. You need to remember who you are. The anonymity of the sender only deepened the unease in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being hunted, just waiting for something hidden to pounce on him. Parker paced on the other side of the city, anxiety clawing at him as he listened to Lily hesitate. Just trust me, okay? I really believe in this kid. Why do you care so much? Lily asked softly, her voice a mix of confusion and frustration. Because some things are worth fighting for, he replied, his tone resolute. You deserve to experience life again. This boy, Sam, he's got fire. He dances like it's his last chance, like his life depends on it. And maybe it can be the same for you. Lily didn't reply right away. She gazed out her window, the city lights twinkling like stars over the dark blue horizon. Could a stranger, someone she'd never met, alter the course of her life? The thought both excited and terrified her. Back at the park, Sam stood, compelled by the innocence of that little girl. He found himself drawn toward the center of the walkway, where grass met concrete. The world seemed to fade away, and for a moment he felt the urge pulse through him, a call to dance. Maybe this was about reclaiming his story, shifting the narrative that was playing out in his life. He took a tentative step forward, glancing around to see if anyone was watching. But the world was oblivious, caught up in its own melodies. A quick breath, then he swayed, his body moving to the rhythm only he could hear. His heart beat frantically against his chest, fear twinging at the edges of his consciousness, yet he allowed the music of the night to surge through him. As he danced, more people began to take notice, intrigued by this boy lost in movement. And in that moment, a breakthrough surged within him, a realization that perhaps there was still beauty in being seen, that joy could mingle with the shadows of his past if only he dared to take another step. Yet, just as hope unfurled like a flower, the tension tightened once more. A dark figure lingered at the edge of the park, obscured by the flickering glow of the streetlights. Who were they? What did they know? Sam's heart skipped a beat as he caught their gaze, a warning simmering in the air. Time stood still as fear gripped his throat. Would he give in to the dance of life or flee again into the darkness? And across the city, Lily felt the stirrings of something she thought long buried. Could stepping into the light bring the connection back? As the evening wore on, two lives drew closer to a convergence that neither could predict. Would they find the courage to confront the shadows looming over them, or would they retreat back into their respective fears? The moment seemed to stretch as Sam danced, the flickering lights around him creating a magical aura. His body moved like a wave, finding rhythm in the silence he once feared. Each step was a small rebellion, a declaration that he existed, that he mattered. But the figure he noticed didn't move. It stood firm, a dark silhouette etched against the soft light, watching him, an omen or an observer. The world around him faded into insignificance. The laughter of the couple, the spinning girl, even the rustling leaves dissolved like whispers lost in the wind. Only the thump of his heartbeat filled the void, merging with every beat of his feet against the path. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he was reclaiming parts of himself buried deep beneath regret. Then, just as he felt the moment shift into something extraordinary, the air crackled with tension. Sam caught another glimpse of the shadowy figure. It took a step closer, the darkness shifted and morphed into form. The stranger wore a hood that obscured their face, but the aura radiated undeniable intensity. Dance like no one else watching, huh? A voice, deep and resonant, sliced through the silence. Sam froze in place, breath hitching in his throat. This was no mere observer. It was a challenge, a taunt. Who are you? Sam managed, confusion mingling with fear. Someone who knows a bit about running, the figure replied, stepping into the light. Sam gasped. It was a face he recognized, one yet familiar, a face from his past that he thought was long buried. Memories flashed through his mind like fragments of a shattered mirror. The familiarity held a mixture of warmth and discomfort. You don't understand, he breathed out. I'm trying to move on from that life. I can't let you pull me back. Oh, but that's just it, Sam, they said, the shadows returning to their features as they smiled grimly. You've already made it halfway. I'm just here to remind you how far you've come and how easily you can slip back. They never really let go, do they? Your past isn't something you can escape. It's like an echo that lingers. Sam's pulse thundered in his ears. The fear of their words coiled around him, threatening to drag him down. Yet here, in the warmth of lights and movement, another feeling surged inside him, a desperate flicker of hope. Not if I choose to stand and fight, he replied, surprising even himself with the strength of his conviction. It was as if the act of dancing had woven armor against the encroaching shadows. With that statement, the couple who had been watching stepped closer, a glimmer of understanding in their eyes. They began to clap, the rhythmic sound like a heartbeat building momentum. Others joined in, drawn to Sam's resolve, abandoning their phones and conversations to support him. The figure remained at the edge, watching the unfolding scene with a knowing smirk. You think this moment can last? That you can be free? Their words sliced through the rising cheers, chilling Sam's spine. As the crowd grew and the music seemed to swell, Sam realized he was not just fighting for himself but for every moment of connection lost in fear. He could feel Parker's and even Lily's distant presence, somehow bridging the chasm between them across the city. But with every joyous note dancing through the air, the darkness loomed just behind him. A reminder, a challenge, a prophecy waiting to unfold. Would he be strong enough to face both the promise of his dance and the shadows of his past? Just then, a sudden silence enveloped the park, pressing down on him like the weight of the world. The figure stepped closer, eyes gleaming with unspoken knowledge. Remember, Sam, shadows don't fade. They transform. What did they mean by that? What lay ahead in this battle of light and darkness? As his heart raced, he realized he was at a crossroads, teetering on the brink. Would he truly step into the future or let the past drag him down once again? The crowd held its breath, the silence heavy with anticipation. Sam felt the weight of their eyes, their hopes resting on him. The shadowy figure loomed closer, an oppressive reminder of everything he was trying to escape. His palms were slick with sweat, his heart hammered in his chest. Was this really it? Could he dance his way out of the darkness? He swallowed hard and took a small step forward, feeling the ground beneath him stir to life like never before. The music pulsed once more, louder now, wrapping around him like a warm hug. Every note beckoned him, urging him to let go of fear, to embrace the vulnerability that came with being seen. Just dance, he whispered to himself, the mantra echoing like the pulse of the music. He didn't need to be perfect, he just needed to be present. With a deep breath, he closed his eyes and let the rhythm flow through him. He lifted his arms, twirling and twisting, moving with grace he had forgotten existed. Each motion banished a piece of the darkness, illuminating his path forward like a firefly leading the way through a vast night. And the crowd? They cheered louder, their voices rising in a chorus of support. Their claps turned into a heartbeat that synchronized with his every step. But there, right on the edge of his vision, the figure remained unmoving, watching intently, a monolith in contrast to the growing celebration surrounding him. Sam could feel their eyes boring into him, as if daring him to falter, to slip back into the shadows that had haunted him for so long. He opened his eyes and locked gazes with the figure. "You don't own me!" he shouted over the music, raw conviction surging through him. It felt like a line drawn in the sand. "You think you're breaking free," the figure replied, voice calm yet mocking, "but what will you do when the music fades? When the lights dim?" That struck a nerve, and suddenly doubt crept in. What would he do? The thought of the music stopping filled him with dread. He needed this moment to last. He needed to hold on to what he felt. The couple in front of him caught his eye again, their smiles genuine, their encouragement fueling his energy. They moved in sync with him, a reminder that even in darkness, there was light. Dance for them, he told himself. Dance for everyone trapped in shadows. Dance for yourself. So he did just that. With renewed vigor, he spun and leaped as if flying, pouring his heart into every movement. He was no longer just Sam the boy burdened by his past. He was Sam the dancer, the fighter, the one who refused to crumble under pressure. The music crescendoed, and for a moment, time itself seemed to freeze. He felt weightless, untethered from worry, grief, and expectation. He was alive, and the moment was his. But shadows have a way of creeping back when least expected. Just as he was beginning to believe in his strength, the air shifted, and the shadows gathered again, darker now. The figure smiled, that smug, knowing grin sending a shiver down his spine. "Embrace complacency, and you'll find the shadows don't just follow," they said ominously. "They catch up." Sam faltered for the briefest second, doubt creeping in like ice water in his veins. The familiar sensations of fear and anxiety clawed at him, trying to drag him down. What if he couldn't keep this up? Would he truly be able to dance without losing himself again? The crowd urged him on, their energy a tether he desperately clung to. As the last notes hung in the air, he faced the figure once more, breathless. "Fading is not an option," he called out, determination burning in his chest. "I'm just getting started." But the figure only stepped forward, their presence looming larger. "Then you'll need to learn a new dance, one that embraces the shadows you carry." What did that mean? Sam felt the gravity of their words, and a knot of fear twisted in his stomach. Would facing his past require a dance he was unprepared for? The music echoed softly in the background, but he wasn't finished yet. The battle had only begun. What challenge lay ahead as he learned to navigate this complicated dance of light and darkness? Sam's heart raced, the electric energy of the crowd pulsing through him like a live wire. He couldn't let the figure's words sink in any deeper. They might be true, but he refused to acknowledge that fear. As the final note faded, a wave of silence engulfed the space. It felt like a breath held too long. Everyone waited for something to unfold. He took a step back, his breath hitching as he felt the figure's gaze feel like fire on his skin. Here he was, exposed, yet somehow taller, prouder. The shadows still lurked, but maybe he had more light in him than he realized. "Dance with me," he called out to the figure, a surprising challenge spiraling from his lips. The crowd gasped, eyebrows lifted, and whispers echoed like a rolling wave. He wasn't just dancing for himself anymore, he was challenging the fear that lived within them all. The figure tilted its head and laughed, a sound dark and twisted. "You think you can dance away from me? You cannot outrun your demons," they taunted. The words felt like ice shards, but Sam wouldn't retreat. He knew he had no choice but to confront what until now had lived in the shadows of his mind. The moment felt surreal, charged with both defiance and dread. He summoned every ounce of courage. "Then I'll dance through them," he shouted, firming his resolve, grounding his emotions in the rhythm still thrumming in the background. "I'll make them part of me." His movements resumed, frenetic and powerful, every step a declaration against doubt. He pulled in the energy of the crowd, their shouts blending with the music, offering warmth against the cold chill of fear. A part of him felt immense freedom. Another part felt that looming shadow beckoning him to falter. Suddenly, images of times he'd fallen down flashed through his mind, moments of despair, of feeling small, lost. The hardships he had faced grew tangible, painting the memories in shades of gray. But instead of caving in, he twisted those shadows into his dance, using them as fuel. The way he spun, the leaps he took, they were a story, woven together as a tapestry of his battles faced. He could almost see the figure behind him flickering with anger at his defiance. They remained suspended, their form darkening like an impending storm, yet Sam pressed on. The cheers of the audience grew, a thunderous roar that rattled his bones, carrying him higher and deeper into that exhilarating space where magic lived. "I'm not afraid," he shouted, his voice mingling with the melody, steady yet bold. The music seemed to acknowledge his challenge, its beat growing stronger, more insistent, vibrant. And then he realized something profound. Embracing his shadows didn't mean becoming lost in them. They were a part of his journey, not a prison. Each misstep, each moment of worry, became a swirl in his steps. He danced with the weight of his history, and the hope for what was to come. The figure wasn't just a foe, they were a mirror of his own fears, and Sam began to see them as less threatening, perhaps even necessary. As the final notes rang out, Sam stood tall, chest heaving but heart alight. The moment was alive with potential. Before he could process what had changed, the figure lunged forward, breaking free from their immovable stance. They drew close, shrouded in shadows, eyes locked on him, and in that moment, Sam inhaled sharply. "Dance with your fears," the figure whispered, their own voice heavy with a threatening undertone. "But can you handle the truth they carry?" He faltered, confusion washing over him. "What truth?" Before he could respond, the music began to flicker, like a candle in the wind. Sam's heart sunk. Would he really have to confront whatever waited in that darkness again? And just as he braced himself for the answer, the light started to dim, leaving him perched on the edge of uncertainty. What truth would be revealed when the music finally stopped? The dimming lights cast a surreal glow over the stage, wrapping Sam in an ever-thickening veil of shadows. The whispers of the crowd faded, replaced with the steady thrum of his heart. He blinked, trying to catch his breath, but every inhale felt heavier than the last. What was hidden in the depths of the darkness? What truth awaited him? The figure as shadow loomed closer, their presence swallowing the light around them. Sam could see their features shifting as if caught between existence and the ethereal. It was not just fear, this was a reckoning. He steadied himself, feeling the pulse of the music beneath him, digging into the rhythm like a lifeline. He had welcomed his shadows before, But could he face the truth that lay veiled in that darkness? Do you want to know what they're hiding? The figure coaxed, a hint of curiosity swirling through their voice. All the pain, regret, and sorrow you've carried. Are you ready to dance with the past? Sam's mind reeled. The past was a weight that had once crushed him, dragging him down every time he thought he could rise. With every beat, the memories surged forward, demanding attention. He could feel the crowd still, collectively holding their breath, as if they too sensed the gravity of this moment. I need to know, he found himself saying, the words tasting like both courage and fear. Each syllable was a step into the abyss. He would not let fear dictate his dance any longer. The figure's smile widened, revealing shadows within shadows. Then let us see what truth you're really made of. Dance. With that single word, the stage erupted into a whirlwind of emotion. Sam pushed off with his feet, unleashing everything trapped inside him. He danced through fragments of his childhood memories of laughter mixed with cries of loneliness, sweet moments of love overlapping with nights spent in darkness. Each movement became a story, swirling chaos transformed into art. He embraced the dance like a hug, letting each step lead him through the tangled threads of his past. The audience began to stir, caught not just in his movements but in their own confusion, pain, and joy. It became a shared experience, a communal acknowledgement of struggles faced silently in the night. With every leap, every pirouette, Sam transformed the bitterness of loss into freedom, watching shadows dissolve into the light with every breath. The truth was not a monster, but rather a guide. With each turn, he illuminated what used to haunt him, transforming fear into wisdom. The music swelled, feeding off his rising spirit, and the figure before him blurred, wavering in and out of focus as if the shadows themselves were reshaping in response to his determination. The crowd erupted, their cheers now thunderous, each clap echoing the rhythm of his heart, resonating through the very foundation of the space around them. Then suddenly, the music faltered, a note lingered, hanging in the air, and the figure regained clarity, their gaze piercing into Sam's soul. There's more to the truth, dancer, they warned, their voice cutting through the rapture. Are you sure you want to face it? Sam's heart raced furiously as he glanced toward the crowd. They were no longer just spectators. They were witnesses to his transformation. Yet that relentless dread squeezed at him. What more lay waiting in those shadows? The possibility of deeper truths gave him pause. With a steadying breath, Sam nodded. I'm ready. And just like that, the final note spiraled into silence, leaving a lingering tension in its wake. The lights flickered once more, and darkness enveloped him. What would the shadows reveal next, and could he handle the weight of the truth that waited beyond? The silence wrapped around Sam like a thick fog, suffocating the cheers that had just erupted moments before. Panic flickered in his chest as shadows danced with wild abandon, swirling around him, carrying the weight of secrets he had long buried. He could feel his breath quicken, the reality of what lay ahead pressing down on him like a lead blanket. The figure stood firm at the edge of the stage, a sentinel of his past, eyes glimmering with an intensity that spoke of worlds unknown. The truth is layered, they whispered, a haunting reminder that what he had faced was merely the surface. Are you ready to peel it back? Sam hesitated, but the determination in his heart swelled. He had lost so much over the years, but now, with every beat pulsing in his veins, he felt a flicker of hope, a chance to reconcile the fragments of his shattered past. Show me, he urged, his voice steadier than the flutter in his stomach. The figure nodded, and with a wave of the hand, the darkness shimmered, revealing images like shimmering oil on water. Suddenly, memories flickered before Sam's eyes, the rawness of each moment flooding his senses. He was a child again, swirling through the remnants of laughter from joyful family gatherings. He could hear his mother's voice wrapping around him like warmth, felt the affection in her light touch. But then, unbidden, the laughter twisted into cries, and the warmth dissipated, replaced by the icy grip of abandonment. Lose yourself, find yourself, the figure coaxed, their voice a gentle nudge against his turbulent emotions. Sam surrendered to the flow, allowing himself to drown in his memories. Images of dimly lit halls filled with shadows of family arguments coalesced into one another like brushed paintings, each scarred moment tugging at his heart. He leaped into the fray, feeling the pivotal sorrow of his father's absence rip through him, an absence that lingered far too long and echoed in every empty seat at the dinner table. With the next breath, he grew heavier, burdened by regret as he faced that uncomfortable truth: he had built walls, convinced himself he could handle it all. He danced through tears of missed opportunities, lost friendships, and dreams deferred. As he spun and kicked through each jagged shard of memory, he sensed the weight lifting, the edges softening. The audience, once quiet, now stirred restlessly. They were entranced, emotions ricocheting through the space. Did they feel his pain? Did they recognize their own shadows among the light he was summoning? "Dance, Sam!" a voice shouted from the crowd, breaking through the tension. He caught sight of a familiar face, someone from his past, one who had shared this affliction, the shared understanding igniting a spark of solidarity. That spark rekindled a fire within him. Sam moved with newfound vigor, drawing on the energy from the pain to fuel him forward. He danced not just for himself but for all those who felt alone in their shadows. His movement became a story of resilience, a declaration that the past held no power over his future. The figure stood entranced, watching as Sam began to unravel not just his own truth but igniting the light within the crowd's eyes. His steps grew bolder, the despair transforming into a vibrant anthem of hope. Then, just as the music intensified, shadows fused together and twisted, causing him to falter. "There is still deeper truth," the figure warned, colorless lips parting. "Are you certain you want to uncover what's next?" Sam felt it again, that familiar dread, but he had come too far. "Yes," he shouted, voice strong against the chaos. As the final echoes of the music faded into the silence, the lights flickered and dimmed once more. Sam stood poised, waiting for the final revelation, ready to embrace whatever truths lingered on the edge of the stage. What more lay hidden in the depths of his past, and could he find the courage to confront the darkest shadows yet to come? The world around Sam shifted, the chaos melting away like sugar in the rain. The stage transformed into a canvas of his emotions, colored by shadows but vibrant with potential. The figure, a specter of everything he had fought against, remained steady, a silent observer urging him forward, or perhaps challenging him to confront whatever truth lay next. "Your past is not just pain, it's a story waiting to be told," the figure encouraged, their voice rich with urgency and gravity. They extended a hand, shrouded in darkness, inviting him to realize what lay behind. Fresh images burst forth, floods of memories, moments of love and loss intertwined. He saw his mother dancing in the kitchen, her laughter mingling with music, transforming everything around them into magic. But then the picture shifted to a more muted palette, the day she left, the stillness that followed, and the hollow ache carved into his heart. "You carry them with you, Sam. They shape you, but they can also set you free," the figure urged. He stood still, overwhelmed by the intensity of these emotions. Would he be strong enough to face all the hidden wounds? A knot formed in his throat, squeezing out words he wanted to say, but couldn't until now. "It's not just the past," he whispered, collecting the energy swirling inside him. "It's a part of me, and it's time to dance with it." The streetlights above flickered like fireflies as the music slid back into life. Sam inhabited the rhythm, flowing seamlessly between joy and sorrow. With every move, he embraced those echoes: his mother's laughter, the warmth of comfort, and the sharp bites of betrayal. Each emotion became a step, a leap, a spin, an amalgamation of his existence. The crowd, once captive in silence, roared back to life, their energy pulsating through the air like an electric current. "Dance for you," someone shouted. "Show us." That call propelled him forward, driving him deeper into the music and memories. The figure flitted about the edges, shadows barely touching the surface now. "You can mold that pain into purpose," they echoed, drawing attention back to Sam's heart. "Let it exist, but do not let it define you." With renewed determination, Sam turned to the past, envisioning those moments not as chains but as threads in a rich tapestry of life. He spun and leaped, pouring out the depths of his emotions, letting the joy of that kitchen dance and the pain of loss intertwine. "You can't own me!" he shouted at the figure, daring them to approach. "I'm more than what you represent." Light washed over the stage, illuminating the fears that had plagued him for so long. The audience swayed, caught between a deep understanding of his journey and their own truths. Sam felt their empathy encircle him, lacing through each step he took. His dance became a rallying cry for everyone who had ever felt alone in their shadows. The figure hesitated, their features shifting like a flickering flame. They seemed less a monolith now, more a reflection of the weight he'd carried for far too long. "But don't forget," they began softly, "the shadows remain. They transform." Sam's heart stuttered. Would they always be there? Just as doubt began to creep in, he recalled every face in the crowd, complete strangers rooting for him, not knowing the struggles hidden beneath his skin. "I know!" he shouted, fierce and resolute. "But I am the one who dances now. I choose to rise." With that affirmation, he took a grand leap, feeling the confluence of light and shadow within him. He soared, catching the glint of hope in the eyes of Parker and Lily, who watched from the edge of the crowd. They were no longer watching merely a boy dance. They witnessed a soul transforming, bridging gaps that once felt insurmountable. The crescendo reached a peak, the music swelling, every heartbeat sinking in a euphoric rush. And in that moment, as Sam danced, he realized it wasn't merely about burying the past, he was honoring it, crafting it into a source of strength. He was no longer defined by his shadows, but instead empowered by them. Then, breathless, he landed lightly back on the ground, falling into silence. The figure stood now at the center of the stage, a part of him transformed by the performance, a reminder of his journey. "You've conquered yourself tonight," they said, their voice gentle. "And yet, the shadows will always be present. It's your choice how you want to interact with them from here on out." Sam smiled, heart radiating warmth. The fears were still there, but they no longer gripped him. "And I will dance with them," he declared, embracing the figure and his past as part of a lifelong choreography, a beautiful coexistence of light and shadow. The crowd erupted in cheers, enveloping him in an ocean of support. Sam felt a swell of joy, transformation coursing through him. With every clap and cheer, every face lifted in wonder, he knew he was seen, truly seen. As he glided back into the embrace of the moment, he turned to Parker and Lily. Their eyes sparkled with unshed tears, emotions heavy with understanding and a glimmer of rekindled connection. They were ready to take steps together again, no longer defined by grief. "Let us dance together," Sam thought, knowing they had all faced their shadows. This was only the beginning of their collective journeys, a coexistence that would thrive in the light of every shared dance. As night fell into dawn, they stood together at the edge of something beautiful, a family, a friendship, an eternal dance to hold each other and the bittersweet stories of the past close, while stepping boldly into whatever future lay ahead. It's time for all of you to join in this transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. You won't regret it.